Good morning. Welcome to this week's midweek thought. You would think that in a dream that features angels and a vision of heaven and a vision of God, not to mention a glimpse into the future at a family that doesn't even exist yet and a nation that doesn't even exist yet, the magnitude of whose influence would literally touch and span all of human history, you would think that in a dream like that, the very last thing worth getting excited about would be your standard, ordinary, run-of-the-mill staircase. But as Jacob lay his head down that night with nothing more than a stone for his pillow, a staircase was exactly what he needed. See, Jacob had spent his entire life plotting, planning, scheming, manipulating, striving to get the favor of God. And where had all that plotting, planning, striving, scheming, manipulating gotten him? Well, right here, 100 miles from home with a rock for his pillow, alone, afraid, exhausted, with a boatload of regret about the past and a heap of uncertainty about the future. And so that night when God came to Jacob in a dream, God gave him exactly what he needed: a staircase. See, the interesting thing about a staircase is, ordinary run-of-the-mill standard as it may be, what it does is absolutely critical. Staircase unites two things that would forever be entirely on different planes without it. And so the point that God was making to Jacob that night in his dream was quite clear. What Jacob had been entirely unable to do, what Jacob had failed miserably at doing and trying to bridge his way up to the heavens, God himself was not only able to do, but willing to do. So the next morning when Jacob wakes up, staircase fresh on his mind, what else should he call that place but Bethel, house of God? Can you relate to Jacob? Do you know what it's like to have spent your entire life striving, struggling, plotting, planning to earn the favor of God? Do you know what it's like to have a boatload of regrets about the past and a whole heap of uncertainties about the future? Then what you need is a staircase. And that staircase, of course, is Jesus Christ. See, in this house of God, Jesus is what unites heaven to earth. The one thing that is able to span the two things that would remain entirely separate otherwise. Jesus, the God-man, is the one who allows us to see God's favor. How does Jesus come to us? Well, in equally less than flattering and less than impressive things. Jesus comes to us in something as simple as words. He comes to us through the written word, through the spoken word, through the sung word. He comes to us in something as simple as water. Water connected to his promise that water washes away and grants new life in him. He comes to us through his meal, through wine and wafer, that is united to his body and blood, the very thing that he gave to buy us from the empty way of life we've been so chasing after and exhausting ourselves for. In Jesus, we have the singular thing that unites heaven and earth. And so we invite you, come to this house of God, see Jesus, and know that God is not only able, but happy and willing to give you the connection that you've so desperately sought. Until next time, have a great week.